will not fight in January or for a little bit because the UFC has just announced Justin Gaethje and Paddy Pimblett for the Interim Lightweight Championship. And along with that, they announced many other fights that will be held on January 24th, which is 6 weeks away for the last card of the year, which will be UFC Fight Night Royval and Cop. We'll have a huge 6-week gap. However, this UFC 324 card, while there are a little bit of controversy, a little bit of weird matchmaking, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, it is still a really solid, good card. Fights up and down the card that are entertaining, exciting, and actually have something on the line, as well as the UFC 325 main event announcement. And in today's video, guys, we will be going through everything, breaking it down, and I will be giving my takes on the fights that are made, early predictions, and where the UFC screwed up, because I am personally sick and tired of this weird, awkward UFC matchmaking going on, where we're just not planning anything out correctly for the division, not having any meaningful contender matchups. Either the contenders are deciding to sit out, or the UFC are just not making the fights. Either way, it is ridiculous, and it is annoying, and it makes absolutely no sense. At this point in the UFC, our champions are more active than the contenders. But to get into it, let's talk about Ilia Topuria real quick. I'm going to read out his tweet. I won't be fighting in the first quarter of next year. I'm going through a difficult moment in my personal life. I want to focus on my children and resolve this situation as soon as possible. I don't want to hold up the division. The UFC will make the matchups needed, and as soon as the matters are resolved, I'll let the UFC know I'm ready to begin my return. And now what Ilia Topuria is referring to is the fact that his wife is leaving him. No! I know, you hate to see it, and apparently she is alleging that there is some domestic violence involved within this. I don't think I buy that. Ilia does not look like the guy that would do that. However, if it is proven that he hit her in the court of law, I will be turning my back on him. However, it is innocent and proven. It is innocent until proven guilty. I'm an American, and I follow that rule most of the time. I'm a big Ilia fan, so if he did hit his wife, his ex-wife, I will be upset, and I will probably not be a fan of him anymore. Nevertheless, though, with this divorce he's going through, him trying to focus on his kids, that's very much understanding. Very much understanding. He's not vacating. There was big rumors that he was vacating. However, the UFC decided just to go ahead and make an interim title fight with Justin Gaethje and Paddy Pimblett. While neither of these guys necessarily deserve an interim title shot, I don't think either of them do. I want to first start off by saying it is hilarious that Arman Tsarukyan was left out of the mix in this matchmaking. That's what happens when you sit out for 17 months, all right? And according to Arman, they were working on Paddy and Ilia for this January card. However, Ilia will be taking time off, and I'm glad they're not making him vacate or stripping him of the belt. This probably sets him up with the winner of this fight at the White House would be my guess, is what the UFC is looking at. But to hit on the fact that these two, neither of them deserve an interim title shot. Gaethje, 1-1 in his last two, getting slept by Max Holloway. Short notice win over Rafael Fiziev, who is nowhere near the top 5. Never has been necessarily, never really has been at that level. Paddy Pimblett magically ends up number 5, ranked in the world at lightweight somehow after a win over Michael Chandler. He just magically was shooting up the rankings every time a UFC lightweight fight would happen. You love to see it. But to hit the other point on this, who else are you going to put in this fight? Because whoever wins the interim belt, which I am not opposed to an interim belt in this situation, especially the fact that we will not have to sit through a Kayla Harrison and Amanda Nunes main event for the first card on Paramount, which was the rumor. So I'll take this as the main event. This is guaranteed a good fight no matter what happens in it. Early prediction, I'm thinking Paddy Pimblett by submission. All right, I like the way he moves around. I think Justin Gaethje has slowed down a tad bit. And he is super, super submittable, as we've seen on the ground. He does have good scrambles. However, if you are able to gain an advantageous position over Justin Gaethje on the ground, he's in grave danger. The dude has no jiu-jitsu whatsoever. We learned that in the Charles Oliveira fight. But to end the discussion around this whole interim lightweight championship fight. Are you going to do Max Holloway and Charles Oliveira for that? Because either way, that's a rematch for Ilia. In all reality, Arman should be in this fight against one of these guys, but he sat on his butt for 17 months, man. And then beating the number 6 ranked guy in Dan Hooker, when in all reality, he probably should have been fighting one of these two guys. But then again, that's not all his fault. That's half the UFC's fault too. However, I do understand the UFC POV of this, considering Arman Tsarukyan, from what Dana has said. But either way, a day before his lightweight title fight opportunity at UFC 311 against Islam Makhachev, he pulled out, and we ended up having to watch Makhachev roll over Moicano. So I honestly can get that from the UFC's perspective to not have him in a main event situation like this. Also, so we don't have to have this as the main event. Thank you, God. Bless up. For real. But at the end of the day, I kind of was expecting something like this, whether it's interim or just number 1 contender fight between these two guys. But with the situation we're in, with Ilia taking the time off, an interim title shot is happening with Justin Gaethje, Paddy Pimblett. Neither of them that deserving, however. I think Paddy Pimblett wins this fight, and it sets up for Ilia Topuria and Paddy Pimblett on a big UFC card, perhaps at the White House. And on a funnier note, Arman Tsarukyan's probably going to have to fight someone in the meantime, which is pretty hilarious. That's what you get, man, in my opinion. That's what you get. Even though you are deserving of a title shot, especially at this point, with you just beating Dan Hooker, that's just what happens. This is what happens when you freaking are eating these big fish on a plate, just, eating the whole fish, and the rice, as we see Arman do a lot, he likes to mukbang. But this is what happens. This is an exciting fight. It's a good fight. Neither of them deserve necessarily an interim title fight opportunity, but at the end of the day, it is a business. I put this on the fighters in the lightweight division and the UFC. Just kind of this whole, and we'll get in this later talking about the other title fight that was announced. The best necessarily aren't fighting the best. However, in some of these spots, it does make sense. And in this one, I would say it makes more sense than not to have two guys that haven't fought Ilia. A fight where Paddy has a good chance of winning to set up an Ilia-Paddy fight, which is huge. And if Paddy wins this fight, he is deserving of a title fight opportunity at that point. Kinda. Still not over Arman, but it's an interim title fight. And as long as Ilia returns, 4 or 5 months after this, it's for sure going to be the winner versus Ilia. And I think Paddy's going to get this fight done, and we're going to see Paddy Ilia headline a big UFC card, which is super exciting. So, overall, good fight. I'm glad this is the main event. And to roll it over, I'm glad this is not the main event. I know it's a big fight. Amanda Nunes, GOAT of women's MMA. Maybe it's Shevchenko at this point. I don't know. I'm not going to discuss that. It's a big fight. Could be interesting. Right now, I'm leaning Nunes just for her skills on the feet and power, and Kayla Harrison's brutal weight cut. I think there's a big ability for her to get chinned. And also, if you know ball, you know ball. Larissa Pacheco beat up on Kayla Harrison before she came over to the UFC. And was doing it by stuffing takedowns and kind of just, throwing big meaty hooks. Shout out Lucas. We miss you, bro. But I'm kind of leaning Nunes. I may switch my pick. I don't know. I don't know. For women's MMA, it's a big fight. Co-main event. Thank God it's not the main event. Shout out. But yeah, if we're going to have a women's fight, might as well be this one. It's a big fight. Let's just go ahead and move on. Sean O'Malley and Song Yadong. This was the rumor match that Sean O'Malley would be getting in on his return back to the UFC, not fighting in a title fight. His last 3 fights have been title fights. And gets a favorable matchup against Song Yadong. While Song Yadong is a killer. I think he's pretty underrated. I think he's very good on the feet. I think he's very fast and explosive. However, I am leaning Sean O'Malley in this fight. I think he's going to be able to manage the range really well. Even Piotr Yan, someone who's more short and stocky, was able to kind of neutralize Yadong's explosions into 3-4 punch combinations. And I think Sean O'Malley having that reach advantage and being long and lanky for the 135 division, and that power, especially when he times his shots right, I just feel like this is a Sean O'Malley fight. I feel like this is a Sean O'Malley win. I think it's a good matchup. I think he's going to really be able to style on the feet. But I don't think it'll be I don't think he'll cakewalk it. I think Song Yadong's a very good 135er, and he'll give him a run for his money. But I think this is a Sean O'Malley late round finish. I really like this fight. It's a good fight. It's a fun fight. Good feature fight on the UFC Paramount debut. This is yeah, you get a superstar who's not going to be in a title fight, Sean O'Malley, put him against another really good striker in Song Yadong in one of the UFC's best weight classes in 135. This is a great addition to the card, and I like it a lot. I think it's a very fun, exciting fight, and a fight that's very winnable for Sugar Sean. Moving on to another really good matchup, especially for heavyweights. While like you're not going to see the highest level skill of MMA in a fight like this, it's a freaking guaranteed knockout. Two big dudes, two big boys going in there and throwing hammers, dude. Waldo Cortez Acosta, a freaking star in the making almost with this activity, skills on the mic, the Puerto Rican fan base taking on a UFC heavyweight legend, Derek Lewis. I don't know if he's really a heavyweight legend. Does hold the most knockouts in UFC history. And while I do lean Cortez Acosta in this fight due to the big speed and athletic advantage he has, Derek Lewis has proved us wrong multiple times in these type of fights where he's taken on these younger, more athletic, not as proven guys. But the difference here to me is Cortez Acosta is somewhat proven. Did all right against Sergey Pavlovich, but has been on a tear, beating up the blob. Was that last weekend or the weekend before in UFC Qatar? The big eye poke, then turn knockout win over Ante Ilia, who's a very solid heavyweight himself. This is a good fight. Guaranteed finish. Actually somewhat interesting in the UFC heavyweight division. If you're going to have a heavyweight fight on a big card, that's not going to leave people going, God, they're just fat and blobby and slow, and do they even train? Even though that might be the kind of the case for Derek Lewis, he still gets wins. He's somewhat of a star in the UFC. He's a clip farming guy. Big name, funny guy. Hard guy not to root for. Cortez Acosta, I'm becoming a fan. I love seeing the activity. I love that fastball right hand he throws. It's beautiful. I think this is going to be a great one-round fight. Someone's going to be hitting the canvas early. I could also see this maybe Lewis kind of getting pieced up for a round or two and then out of nowhere just knocks out Cortez Acosta. Nevertheless, though, this is a good heavyweight fight and another great addition to the card. Moving on to low-key, probably my most favorite fight on the card, Arnold Allen and Gene Silva. I think this is a banger. I know Arnold said he was moving up to lightweight, and I believed him. I know he's a little autistic. I'm always eating at gas stations and stuff in the UK. I love Arnold Allen. He's one of my favorite fighters in the UFC. I hate how inactive and injury-prone he is. I don't know how much of that is his fault and how much of it is injury-wise. But then we got him taking on João Silva, coming off that brutal knockout loss to Diego Lopes, where he looked pretty good early in the fight, but just kind of overswung himself and got put in precarious situations to where Diego Lopes took great advantage of and was able to get the win over a lower-ranked guy, because we're about to talk about Diego Lopes in a little bit. I low-key like Arnold Allen in this fight. I think it's kind of going to be similar to the Diego Lopes fight. And I like Arnold Allen's ability to put together combinations and pick shots better than I do Diego Lopes as well. Diego Lopes is more powerful and more physical, I'd say. Arnold Allen has good pop on his shots, pretty physical, bigger 145er. I think he's a little more technical than Lopes too. And I think as long as he stays patient in the first round, in that first half of the second round, I think if he can work and get in jabbing range and shell up and put together combinations on the inside, I think he can put a lot of damage on Gene Silva with his chin up in the air. It's all going to be about timing in this fight and whether or not John Silva cues something up early to get Arnold Allen out of there. But I like Arnold Allen. I mean, he fought Max Holloway super close. He's been a staple in the top of the featherweight division. Honestly, maybe could have had a title shot by this time. Fought Movsar Evloev very close, arguably won that fight. Arnold Allen's good. João Silva's really good too, but I don't know how a weird, crazy autist like Gene Silva is going to handle a loss, a brutal loss like he did to Diego Silva. And Arnold Allen's always cool, calm, and collective, man. Cool as a cucumber in there. Claddish British stoicism. One of the few Chads left over there. I like Arnold Allen in this fight. I think he's smarter, better fight IQ. And I think he can find a way to find shots that are going to do damage to João Silva. And I think he's smart enough to also pick and choose when to get out of range and not to throw down with João. So give me Arnold Allen, early prediction. Alexa Grasso, Rose Namajunas, decent women's fight. Better be on the prelims if this is on the freaking main card. I'll rage. Not bad for a women's fight, though. I'll lean Namajunas. I think Grasso was always a little bit overrated and kind of just lucked herself into those Valentina trilogy kind of weird fights they had. I like Namajunas here. She's more technical on the feet. Good fight for women's freaking flyweight, though. If we're going to get some women's fight on this card, you could have a lot worse. Is that it? Okay, yes. And then, yeah. Moving on. We also have this on UFC 324. Umar Nurmagomedov. Shout out to Umar. Quicker turnaround. I mean, when did he fight last? Who did he freaking even fight? Why am I blanking? Oh my gosh, Mario Bautista. I totally forgot what card that was. Oh, 321 with Cyril and Tom. Good turnaround time for Umar. I'm very impressed with that. Usually the Dagestanis don't turn around this fast, but I think it's smart getting a fight in before Ramadan. Get that fight in before that time. Sets him up, hopefully, to get that rematch with Merab if he gets to win over Piotr Jan this weekend. Taking on Deiveson Figueiredo, I think Umar's going to walk right through him, man. I don't see an advantage for Figueiredo anywhere in this fight. Umar's going to be more physical. As fast, if not more fast. Deiveson does have sneaky power, though. But his last outing against Montel was not that impressive to me. He looks older out there. I get that this was kind of the only match you can make for Umar, especially someone coming off a win. You maybe could have given him Yudong and then O'Malley Figueiredo, but that would have been kind of weird. Could have done Umar O'Malley, but that kind of makes sense that they didn't as well. I'm kind of glad. I wouldn't mind Sugar Sean getting a win. But I think this is an easy fight. Easy win for Umar. UFC 324. These are good fights. You can complain about the whole interim title situation with Patty and Justin. But besides that, and the fight itself is a good fight. All the fights announced so far are good fights, entertaining fights, decent names. Sean O'Malley, the feature fight. This is shaping up to be a really nice card. Very fun card. Starts an hour earlier. I like that. So UFC 324, dude. So far, I'm giving it a 7.5 out of 10. If they can round out the prelims correctly, it could be anywhere from an 8.5 to 9.5. Be hard to get up in that upper 9, though, considering it's an interim title shot main event. But it's batty to batty, man. And Justin Gaethje, I've been hating on him a lot for saying he's going to retire if he doesn't get the title shot and whatnot. But dude goes in there and throws down for us fans. He's an American. And you can't hate that at all. Can't hate on Rufus. Why does Lucas call him that? I miss you, Lucas. But it's going to be a good fight. All these fights should be good. Okay? Should be an entertaining card. If they can round down those prelims, this could be anywhere from an 8 to a 9.5 out of 10 card. Great way to debut on Paramount. And thank God it's not Kayla Harrison and Amanda Nunes main eventing. That's the last thing I'm going to say on UFC 324. And here's how the card's shaping up so far. I would prefer if they put Arnold Allen and João Silva on the main card. But, we'll see what happens there. I would have the heavyweights on the prelims. Probably not the official bout list. But we also got Teba Gauthier will be back in the octagon. A star in the making there. Big freaking powerful punches, man. But this fight could end up being really good. So I heard some people saying this is how many fights are going to be on the CAD. I don't believe that at all. So that's just my opinion on that. And moving on, the weekend after UFC 324, 325, UFC 325 in Sydney, Australia, it's Alexander Volkanovski and Diego Lopes 2. Why? This is stupid! Diego Lopes is coming off a great win over João Silva. Not even in the top 10! Coming off a clear-cut loss to Alexander Volkanovski. Who do you give Volkanovski? Diego Lopes? He's not even Mexican! And that's the only reason they're doing this. They want that Mexican market so bad. Diego Lopes in possibly Volkanovski's last fight in his home country, main event of a pay-per-view, is just going to rerun A fight that very well could end up being the exact same, which is great for Volk because it was a great performance in the first fight. But this doesn't matter. I mean, this is literally a nothing fight for his legacy. Meanwhile, you have Movsar Evloev. While none of these three guys I'm going to list off are clear-cut #1 title fight, get them in there. You have Movsar Evloev, big wins over Arnold Allen, Diego Lopes, Aljamain Sterling. Pulled out of the fight against Aaron Pico. Why was he fighting Pico in the first place? Been on his butt forever. I don't care. He's not as long as Armin. I don't even think it's been a year. You have him, undefeated Dagestani, much better for Volk's resume. You have Lerone Murphy, which I know he's all upset about not getting the title shot. Dude, I would give Aljo probably the title fight before you, dude. But it's still better than Lopes. At least he's an undefeated prospect at featherweight, coming off a big KO against a nobody in Aaron Pico. And then beat up Josh Emmett, who's Josh Emmett at this point. Then you have Aljamain Sterling coming off a win against Brian Ortega. I think he was number 5 or number 6. Former bantamweight champion. All three of those guys are way more deserving than Diego Lopes. And I love Diego Lopes. I'm a big fan of Lopes. This is nothing towards Lopes. Good for him. I mean, what is he going to do? Decline the fight? But, dude, I am so sick of Dana. Or whoever's doing this. Maybe it's not Dana. I don't know. But it's supposed to be, this is why we like UFC and not boxing. It's supposed to be the best against the best. I get sometimes the business takes more over. Like, Patty Ilia getting set up. I ain't going to complain about that too much. But this? Diego Lopes isn't even like a big star. I mean, he has some name notoriety for sure. But bro's actually not even Mexican. He's Brazilian, and they're just doing this for the Mexican market. Okay? It's the only reason this fight's happening. It's stupid. I hate it. Absolutely hate it. Volkanovski's going to win again. Love Volk. I think he'll do the exact same to Lopes as he did in the first fight, and that's the problem with this fight. That's the problem. It's a nothing fight. It means nothing. And I know that's crazy to say it's a UFC featherweight championship fight. Dude, I know Lopes can go out there and win or whatever. But that's just, they're doing Volk so dirty. If you watch Volk's video about this, you could tell he didn't want to really run this one back, but what's he going to say, no? I don't know. It's just really frustrating running back this exact same fight. Volk hasn't fought in between it. Diego Lopes beat Jean Silva, is not even in the top 10. And you have three guys, especially Evloev. It'd run Evloev, Sterling, then Lerone. But any of those guys would be much better than Diego Lopes getting another crack at it. And Volk's about to retire soon. And dude, why are you putting Diego? This is actually the really dumb part if you're trying to get in the UFC shoes. Why would you put Lopes up against Volk again, where he lost clearly, when Volk's probably going to retire soon? And Diego Lopes fought the best guy out of all three, probably, Movsar Evloev, very, very close on short notice. So he has the ability to obviously beat all of those three guys kind of in the mix for the title. Once Volk retires, which could be this fight, if not another one. I don't see him fighting more than 2. I think he's even said that. Nevertheless, though, that's even dumber because Volk schooled Lopes. Why would you make it again? Makes absolutely no sense to me. And it's one thing if it's Tyrone Woodley or a champ like that. But why do they try to retire guys like Volk, who have been nothing but a company man, nothing but a fan favorite, nothing but an exciting, awesome, dominant, legend, champion of the sport? And you give him this just because you want Diego Lopes, who's not even Mexican, to be a Mexican UFC featherweight champion. It's stupid. Why would you not do Yair and Diego? That's a big fight. And then you don't have to do this. It makes no sense to me. I'm done ranting about it. Angers me very much. They better stack this card, because if they make a crappy main card and a crappy prelim, and this is the main event, no disrespect to Volk or Lopes, it's not really their fault, but I'm just I've already seen this. And the only thing that will change it is if Lopes knocks out Volkanovski. But that's when the fight happens. You're not getting any more pay-per-view buys, or it's not even pay-per-view, but you're not getting any more viewership after the knockout already happens. Makes no sense to me. From a matchmaking and business standpoint, I think it's absolutely retarded. and gay. But we're going to end on that. Got my blood boiling a little bit. Hope you guys enjoyed the video today. My reaction to these big fight announcements. Some good, some bad, some angry. Okay? But this makes me so mad I can't even think. There's a 6-week gap. We have this weekend. We have next weekend, which is not a very great card with Manel Kopp and Brandon Royval. Then we have a 6-week gap, and we got to wait till January 24th. I don't know what I'm going to do in those 6 weeks. But comment below if y'all have any new content ideas. And comment if you watched the video, okay? Because that's cool, because nobody watches my videos. But if you've watched it all the way through, thank you. I love you. God bless you. And please please subscribe to See No MMA. We'll have another video out for you tomorrow. Could be the picks and previews for this weekend's UFC 323 card. Could be another video. Just kind of depends what I get the ball rolling on. But thank you guys for watching. Click the like button. Click the subscribe button. And I'll see y'all in the next one.